In this video, we're going to learn what Bitcoin actually is and how it is stored. Quick announcement, pre-orders of my new Bitcoin course are available on my site. If you want a comprehensive course that will teach you how Bitcoin actually works and why it has value in a simple and easy way, this is the course for you. I've added a link in the description to my website where you can pre-order it now. The material will be taught with images and explanations similar to my videos, so you can get a good idea of what it will be like by watching my other videos. When you check your bank account online, you see your statement and you see the current amount of money you have. Imagine someone makes a transfer to your account. You see the transaction added to your statement and the increased amount of money in your bank account. But was there actual physical money transferred to your account? You trust the transaction because you trust that your bank handled the transaction properly and you see the amount in your bank account. Can we just rely on trusted transactions and not have any actual physical flow of money? Let's look at a currency that uses trusted transactions, but instead of trusting a single entity like a bank, people trust transactions because they're verified by everyone who uses the currency. Imagine Bob and his friends are starting a new payment system to pay each other, called FriendCoin. Instead of using anything physical to represent the currency, like coins or paper, each person maintains a record of who owns what and all the transactions that have occurred. They all decide to start with 10 FriendCoin. The first transactions in the history are the creation of everyone's FriendCoin. FriendCoin creation is just a special transaction where a person's amount of FriendCoin is increased. Suppose Mary and Joe want to transfer some FriendCoin between them. Mary, being the sender, tells everyone, "Hey, I want to send 4 FriendCoin to Joe." Everyone first checks if Mary has 4 FriendCoin available to send. They then write down the transaction and update the amount of FriendCoin that Mary and Joe own. Then they tell each other about the validated transaction so that everyone agrees on how much FriendCoin Mary and Joe have, and also the transaction history. Joe now has 14 FriendCoin and Mary has 6. Note that nothing was actually transferred between Mary and Joe. Mary told everyone how much she wanted to transfer and who to transfer to. Everyone else validated and agreed with the transaction, resulting in Joe having 4 more FriendCoin. He can use his new FriendCoin amount with any of his friends since they all agreed and acknowledged that he has 14 FriendCoin now. Let's look at another transaction. Joe wants to transfer his 14 FriendCoin to Lisa. He tells everyone else, "I want to send 14 FriendCoin to Lisa." Everyone checks their records and sees that Joe has 14 FriendCoin to send. They record the transaction along with Joe and Lisa's new FriendCoin amounts. They tell everyone else about the transaction to make sure everyone agrees with it. Once agreed upon, Lisa has 24 FriendCoin and Joe has 0. Note that with this transaction, like the previous one, nothing was actually transferred directly between Joe and Lisa. Joe told everyone about the transaction, and others in the group validated and agreed upon the transaction. The transaction history and record of how much FriendCoin each person owns, which each person in the group has a copy of, is the source of truth for what any of the friends can spend. FriendCoin is very similar to Bitcoin. Imagine all the people using FriendCoin as computers sending messages about transactions to one another. Each computer maintains its own record of who owns what and the transaction history. When 2 people pay each other, the transaction gets sent from the sender's computer to the computers it knows on the network. Unlike the one pictured here, Bitcoin is a big network, and computers aren't aware of every node on the network. The transaction is sent around until all the computers have received it. In FriendCoin, the sender proposed a transaction, and this became part of the transaction history. In Bitcoin, many transactions are proposed at the same time. To accommodate this, groups of transactions are agreed upon at a time rather than one by one, which would be much slower. Computers will keep a collection of these transactions, and some will do the work to validate and propose a group of transactions to be added to the history. All computers will listen for these groups and validate the transactions in them. Then they will add the group to their copy of the transaction history, along with updating their copy of how much Bitcoin each person owns. Once the group has been added by the computers on the network, the recipients of transactions included in the group can spend the Bitcoin they have received, since the other computers have accepted and acknowledged the previous transactions, and know how much Bitcoin the people currently have. In the terminology of Bitcoin, every computer on the network shown here is known as a node, and the nodes who are proposing new groups of transactions are called miners. The groups of transactions are known as blocks, and the transaction history stored on each node consists of multiple blocks linked one after another, also known as the blockchain. Also stored on each node is a copy of how much Bitcoin everyone has available to spend, which is also known as the set of unspent transaction outputs. The unspent transaction outputs are the overall results of all the transactions stored within a node's blockchain. Just like FriendCoin, having Bitcoin just means a transaction was validated and accepted by the network, giving the person Bitcoin. The record of this is maintained and owned by every computer on the network, rather than a central entity like a bank. In order for Bitcoin to change hands, transactions are agreed upon by the network, and these records are independently updated by each computer. Thanks for watching. If you want a written version of this tutorial, I have added a link in the description below to my website where you can find it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please be sure to hit the like button if you did, and subscribe for new videos on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency.